In the last 3.5 years, we have sailed halfway around the world on our 37-foot boat, Florence, exploring new countries, new cultures, and sharing our adventure along the way.
In this episode, we head up a river deep into the jungle in search of Borneo's forest person, the orangutan.
I love Indonesia, but I don't like sailing at night here. It's pretty stressful. It's about 5:30 in the morning and I just got woken up by Matt shouting really loudly because there were a couple of fishing boats that were just off our bow and totally unlit, no lights whatsoever. I think he heard something and just shone a spotlight on them, and they're a couple of boat lengths away. Yeah, scary stuff.
Sailing in these coastal waters is very different to when we are crossing oceans. There are a lot of unlit fishing boats, fishing platforms, fish attracting devices and tugs towing large unlit barges strewn throughout these waters. We were very lucky to be able to avoid those fishing boats in the night. During the day we can see all these things, but at night, well, do you feel lucky?
So we're just coming into Borneo. This is Indonesia's part of the island, so Kalimantan, and we're just about to sail up the Kamai River.
Yeah, we can go about 14 miles up this river. There's an anchorage there where we're going to leave Florence and get on a local boat and go further up the river and hopefully find some wild orangutans.
That'd be cool.
Be very cool. I'm pretty excited. When we come to Indonesia, we really enjoy seeing the local wildlife, and there were 3 really top bucket list items for us, which were seeing the Komodo dragon, swimming with a whale shark, both of which we've now done, and the third one was seeing an orangutan in the wild, and this is supposed to be one of the best places to do that.
There's been a noticeable change in the weather since we've been approaching the coast. It's become much more humid, it's incredibly hot and sticky, and there's a haze hanging over the island, which I think is from the forest fires that they've been having for the last couple of months. But we've got a nice sea breeze which is just kicking in, which is allowing us to sail, and it's hopefully clearing some of that haze as well.
Yeah, it's such a big island that it can generate its own weather. Big landmass can heat up and have lots of thunderstorms, and we can hear some rumbling of thunder in the background. We haven't seen any rain for, well, nearly 2 months now, but I think we might get some here.
Yeah, the weather's been fantastic over the last couple of months, so we can't really complain too much. Here comes our boat for the next 2 days.
You are not allowed to take your own boat into the national park, so we hired a local boat, which we shared with Nick and Sharon from Cheetah, to go up the river and find the orangutans. It was a full door-to-door service, and they were very careful coming alongside Florence to pick us up, with a lot of current flowing in the river.
Bye-bye, Florence. Just left 2 people on our boat.
We first met Nick and Sharon on Lizard Island back in Australia, so it's great to catch up again and share the orangutan experience together.
We are heading into the Tanjung Puting National Park. The park is famous for its orangutan conservation. It was set up in the 1930s and covers 416 hectares of forest and swamp on the bank of the Kumai River.
The brackish lower reaches of the river wind through ranks of palms. We need to go further up the river to find the forest and trees where the orangutans hang out.
As the river narrowed and more tall trees appeared, we saw lots of these orangutan nests. The orangutans will build themselves a new nest every night to sleep in wherever they happen to be. We didn't find any orangutans having a lie-in though.
What have we seen so far?
So far I've already seen the tail of a crocodile. And proboscis monkeys. So we got the whole crew on the front of the boat, including our guide, just spotting all of the wildlife for us as we go along the river. The guys on the boat are great. Whenever they see something, and they have got eagle eyes, along the side of the river, they just, throw the boat into full reverse and point it out to us. And there's some proboscis monkeys in the trees just right next to the river.
The proboscis monkey is only found in Borneo. They're named after their strange long noses, and they can weigh as much as 30 kilograms, making them one of the largest monkeys in Asia. These ones seemed happy playing in the trees alongside the river, not the slightest bit bothered by us being there.
We continued our journey deeper into the jungle.
Which is the famous sanctuary in the national park, and you can see that the river is starting to narrow. This is the furthest that we're going to head up into the park, and the water has totally changed, the vegetation has changed around us, and we're really deep into the forest now.
Run up. No. It was time to see if we could find an orangutan.
These are the long-tailed macaques that we've seen a lot of in Flores, Lombok and Bali. And I've just learnt the difference between an ape and a monkey. And apes have no tail and monkeys have tails.
Camp Leakey was set up in 1971 by Dr. Baruch Gladicus as a base to study orangutans. What she started here became one of the longest continuous animal studies in history.
Just walking along the track and there's a gibbon in the tree. Here.
So we're at Camp Leakey at the feeding station, and in about 10 minutes a ranger's going to come along and put some fruit out, and then apparently all the orangutans are going to appear out of the forest to eat the fruit. You can see some movement in the treetops already.
This cheeky gibbon clearly knew the drill. He was in and gone before the ranger had even finished laying out the fruit.
I love the way they just swing from tree to tree, so graceful. It's like the ultimate in pole vaulting. Some of the orangutans are wild and others have been rescued and rehabilitated into this safe area. The rangers put fruit out at the same time each day, and if the orangutans have not found enough food to eat themselves in the forest, they will come here.
Orangutan literally means forest person in Indonesian. Orangutans share 97% of their DNA with humans and can look incredibly human when they stand up straight. There's clearly some kind of pecking order because the orangutans wait. There's only normally one or possibly two of them on the platform at one time. And we've been here for like over an hour and they're just constantly watching until there's nobody on the platform, and then the next one will take its turn.
After nervously grabbing as much food as they can carry, they climb a nearby tree to enjoy their food in peace. Or at least as much peace as their babies will allow.
Seen orangutans obviously on the TV, but the thing that's been really striking is just how big their hands and feet are. This one's probably about half the size of me, but its hands must be 3 times the size.
The orangutans' eating habits are less graceful than their climbing, but nothing is wasted in the forest. The wild boar have turned up to eat what the orangutans has dropped.
These long-nosed boars are Bornean bearded pigs, so called because of the beard-like tufts of hair that grow on their snouts and cheeks.
Back on the boat, and we just come down the river and stopped where we're going to go for a night hike later. And just opposite us are a whole load of proboscis monkeys in the trees. As darkness fell, an owl took over the entertainment duties from the monkeys.
Oh, yeah, he's looking. Oh, wow.
So what type of owl is that? Well, I have no idea this one. I didn't see many times.
Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you. This looks amazing. Huh?
We're walking through the jungle and we're looking for a nocturnal monkey, and we haven't spotted any yet, but we've seen scorpions, tarantulas, a mouse, and tons of bugs. Oh, well, yeah, that's a cool frog. Beautiful. Come.
So this is what we've been searching for, and we've found one. Very difficult to spot in the forest at night.
Is that the size of them?
Oh, look at
wow,
that.
did you see his head? It's like an owl. This is the tiny Horsfield's tarsier, which is only 6 inches long. It's one of the smallest monkeys in the world. They have the largest eyes in relation to their body of any mammal and can rotate their heads 180 degrees in each direction.
Yeah.
It's like the size of a big mouse.
So you know, he taught me every people who like do night trek, they want to see this animal.
Yeah.
If they're lucky, they see them. If they're not lucky, they didn't see them.
It's beautiful just motoring down the river.
Did you just say it was nice to be motoring?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying motoring. This is a first. Just had breakfast on the go and we're heading to the first swing platform for the orangutans, but we've seen so much wildlife already this morning. There was an owl just as where we're moored, just on the opposite side of the river having a bath. It's incredible. Having a wash.
We're just waiting for one of the viewing platforms, the time to open, so we thought we'd give you a look around the boat that we're staying on. At the bow we've got the main viewing platform where we can sit and watch the wildlife as we're going down the river. And then in here is our living space. So we've got a dining table and we get our breakfast, lunch and dinner included, and then snacks when we come back onto the boat. And then Sharon and Nick are demonstrating our nice comfy bed.
How we sleep.
Yeah. We don't have to share, we've actually got 2 lots of mattresses.
They're hogging them both at the moment.
Yeah. And we get some mosquito nets at night, and the sides can come down as well when it rains. Whilst we're waiting, we're actually moored next to a deluxe version. So this is what we'd have got if we'd have paid a little bit more money.
This is what we wanted.
Yeah, this is what we wanted.
Yeah, boat envy.
Yeah. And then we've got more seating up on the back deck, which is really useful because quite often the guys will stop and point out some wildlife and we can run up here and get a better view.
But you have to be careful not to smack your head on the way out.
And then down below we've got the crew quarters, the kitchen and also the heads of the bathroom. So this is the bathroom. And we've got what we've nicknamed a tourist toilet because the Indonesian toilets are normally squat toilets, and a freshwater shower. And then right in the stern is where we've got the galley or the kitchen, and our cook has been cooking up some delicious meals from here. And then down here is the engine room. And this is the fantastic crew that have been looking after us.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, and there's the wheelhouse at the front.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Terima kasih.
It's time to head back into the forest. What we are really hoping to see today is one of the big, dominant male orangutans. We have 2 feeding stations to visit in the hope of finding one.
As soon as you get off the boat and head into the forest, it just feels so much more humid immediately.
It turns out there was currently no dominant male in this area of the forest. The change in atmosphere was dramatic. No more nervous glances, stealing food, and running up the nearest tree as quickly as possible. Here it seemed everyone was welcome at the table.
We enjoyed watching the relaxed antics of this group, but we really wanted to find the king of the forest, so we kept our fingers crossed as we moved on to the next feeding station. This will be our last opportunity to see one. Then we found.
This is the king.
Yeah.
The big alpha male. He's itching his nose. As male orangutans mature, the testosterone causes their faces to develop these cheek flaps. Then when they become the dominant male, they generate more testosterone and the cheek flaps become even larger. A fully mature male can be twice the size of a female.
This guy was so confident that he walked up to the rangers as they brought the fruit, and no other orangutans dared to get near him as he sat at the head of the table.
The king ate the entire load of fruit, leaving the others to hang around, hungrily watching in hope.
By the time he finished and took away a doggy bag, all that was left were a few scraps and peelings. One of the younger orangutans had clearly felt that it was unfair the king should eat everything. So he crept in for an attempt on the king's doggy bag. But the king was having none of it. It will be 15 or 20 years before that little fella will be big enough to challenge a king.
Before we knew it, we were waving a sad goodbye to the jungle and making our way back down the river to Florence. Once more, Indonesia has provided us with a magical experience.
Next time we sail on to the island of Belitung and find out why it's also known as the Seychelles of Indonesia.
As always, we want to say a huge thank you to everyone who supports the making of these videos. But today we have some really exciting news.
Thanks to two very generous, very special people, we have got a new camera. And not just any camera, a flying camera. Al and Becky have given us this drone.
Thanks to them, we're going to be able to share the places that we travel from a whole new perspective.
We are absolutely blown away by their generosity, and we are super excited to start using this in some of our videos.
The support of our star patrons, Al and Becky,
Kate and Peter Adkins,
Rob and Rima,
Joshua Baxter,
and John Bowler
really makes a difference to our ability to share this adventure.